Hello, I'm Daniel. This is a talk from the 37 practices of all Bodhisattvas. And Bodhisattvas are those who are trying to unleash our full potential. So when we say the 37 practices of all Bodhisattvas, we're saying these are designed to help us try to reach our full potential. Okay? So Bodhisattva literally means awakening being. It just means we're trying to awaken to the real world. So, I'm going to read a verse and then I'm going to work on explaining it. And we'll see how that goes. So, this is the verse. When all our mothers who have cherished us since beginningless time are suffering, of what use then is our own happiness? Therefore, it is the practice of bodhisattvas to engender the mind of enlightenment for the sake of liberating sentient beings beyond limits. So, that sounds really powerful, right? So, the thing about all our mothers, that is about how we are all in this together. We are connected to all human beings in lots of ways we're not aware of, and lots of ways we are, right? So, it's sort of like, if we're all in this together, then how can we not care about each other? How can we not try to take care of each other, right? We're all in it together. So how can I be obsessed with my happiness and not care at all about the happiness of the people around me? Of course I should care. And if they're suffering, I should want to do something about that. So this is the justification for what we call the Bodhisattva's wish to save all beings, to help others. If we believe that we're all in this together, we all have the same nature, then it just stands to reason that helping others on the path is important. Helping others in their day-to-day life is important. And the writer of this text is saying we should regard them all as our mothers, that is, as people really close to us. I almost hesitate to say as our mothers because some people have really complicated relationships with their mothers, but the point is we aren't doing this for selfish reasons. We want to help others. We want to make the world a better place for everyone, not just ourselves. And that's part of what unleashing our potential is about. So the awakening mind, or the mind of enlightenment, is called sometimes bodhicitta. Bodhicitta, it's the state of mind that's cultivated with love and compassion. Love it's the wish for everyone to be happy. This just doesn't just apply to people we like. It's broader than that. No one is left out. That's what love is. Compassion is the wish for people to be free from suffering. And this includes taking responsibility to help others get out of suffering and to not cause others to suffer more. So love is bring others happiness. Compassion is relieve their suffering. So bodhicitta, this mind of enlightenment, it engages emptiness, compassion, and wisdom. To engage wisdom, we have to work out overcoming our attachment to ourselves. To engage compassion, we have to work on overcoming our possessiveness and our aggression, our tendency to make enemies out of everything all the time. And then to engage emptiness, we just have to kind of come to understand how we're connected to the world around us, and the things we do have consequences, and we don't like that. We don't want consequences from our actions. We want to be able to just do things and not suffer from results, but that's the way of life, and we want to sort of realize that we're connected to the world around us. We want to learn how to realize that, because it is the case whether we realize it or not. And when we engage this mind of enlightenment, we can stop being so afraid of and so controlled by our suffering, and we can stop trying to control everything all the time. That's really important. We try to control everything all the time and try to take. And when we can get this mind of enlightenment, when we think about others, when we put others on the same level as ourselves, then we can have a lot more diligence in our efforts to improve ourselves, a lot more diligence when we care about others as much as ourselves. And we can have a sort of bravery. That's why people sometimes say spiritual warrior, which I'm not so sure about that term, but that's why people use that term for this, because we're brave enough to face ourselves. I'm brave enough to face my shit and to see where I'm hurting others and to stop doing that. But more importantly, just facing that is really hard. We don't want to face that. We want to do everything we can to avoid that and to make excuses and to say, well, no, it's not my fault. It can't be my fault that you're hurting. It's just a thing that happened. It's not my fault. And that's so hard to face. It's so hard to face that sometimes it is our fault, that sometimes our suffering is our fault, and sometimes the suffering of others is our fault. And we want to deny that, and we want to hide from that. We want to put that in a little box and put it over here and never think about it. And what this path challenges us to do is face up to it, face our shit, and just recognize the way things are and not be afraid and not pretend things aren't happening and not hide from things, but just recognize what's happening, pay attention, and do what we can to make things better. That's what it's about. Do what we can to make things better. So that's it for today. Thank you for taking the time to listen to me. And again, that word is bodhicitta, and it is the mind of awakening. It is where we put unleashing our potential in the forefront of our mind, and we put caring about others in the forefront of our mind. It's so hard to do. I think we have this tendency to think, oh, well, that person did it to themselves, so I don't feel bad for them. We have a tendency to think that way. And what this path challenges us to do, and challenge is the right word, it is a challenge. What this path challenges us to do is to feel it anyway. Feel it anyway. So if you know anyone, or if you've ever had the attitude, like you see a homeless person on the street and you think, well, I mean, they made life choices. I know some people have that attitude, and I think that they made life choices is a bad attitude to have instead of helping, or at least feeling something. So that's why we say this is a high level of compassion. It's when we care and we feel compassion even for the people that we think don't deserve our compassion. That's really what we're talking about. We're talking about sometimes it's easy to have compassion, right? It's easy to have compassion for heartwarming orphans, right? But it's harder to have compassion for an alcoholic who has wrecked their life and doesn't want to change, right? But everyone is worthy of our compassion and kindness and love. Everyone. No one is left out. And that's the important thing about this. And why? I mean, not only are we making the world a better place, but I think our potential is limited by the limitations we put on our compassion. Our potential is limited by the limitations we put on our compassion. And if our compassion is open and broad and vast, then we are more awake and we have more potential and we can be so much more. Judging others, looking down on others, stopping to think, do they deserve my compassion? That harms them and it harms us. I do believe that. So that's what I wanted to talk about for today. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video or listen to this podcast, whichever one you're doing. Have a good day.